Have you ever stopped to think about what separates a good experience from one that's just absolutely unforgettable? Well, it often boils down to this one powerful idea. Today, we're going to dive into Will Guidara's incredible book, Unreasonable Hospitality. This is a story about how one of the world's best restaurants was actually born from a moment of total public humiliation, and how its core philosophy can transform pretty much any business, or honestly, any interaction you have. So let's get right into it, starting with the moment that changed absolutely everything. Okay, so picture this. The year is 2010. The scene is London's magnificent Guildhall, and it's time for the world's 50 Best Restaurants Awards. Will Guidara and his chef partner, Daniel Hum, are there. They're repping their New York restaurant, 11 Madison Park. And back home, they were on top of the world. They had 4 stars from the New York Times, a bunch of James Beard Awards. You get it. But this was the global stage, a whole different ballgame. You can just imagine the tension in that room, right? Guidara and Hum are sitting there, trying to guess where they're going to land on this list. Guidara's thinking, maybe number 40. Hum, who's always the optimist, he's guessing 35. The lights go down, the music kicks in, and the host starts the countdown with the very first restaurant on the list. Number 50, a new entry all the way from New York City, 11 Madison Park. Wow! The absolute bottom of the list. The wind is just knocked right out of them. But here's the part they didn't know. The real kicker. When your name gets called, your faces are blasted onto a giant screen for the entire industry to see. And everyone, their heroes, their rivals, everyone saw that look of pure devastation on their faces before they could even think to fake a smile. So that crushing public failure, it led to a late-night bourbon-fueled soul-searching session. And they had a huge realization. They'd been great curators, perfecting things that already existed, but they hadn't been true innovators. So, inspired by this amazing question Guidara's dad had asked him years before, they grabbed a cocktail napkin and wrote down a promise. We will be number 1 in the world. But just before passing out, Guidara scribbled 2 more words on that napkin, 2 words that would come to define their entire mission from that day forward: unreasonable hospitality. And this is so key because it shows their ambition wasn't just about winning an award. No, it was about defining how they were going to get there. It was about focusing on the one thing that never, ever goes out of style: that deep human desire to feel taken care of. Okay, so to really, really get this philosophy, we have to break down a huge distinction Guidara makes. We all tend to use the words service and hospitality like they're the same thing, but for him, they are worlds apart. The core difference is really captured in this simple but brilliant metaphor. Service is black and white, hospitality is color. Think about it. Service is all the technical stuff, getting the right food to the right person. It's basically a monologue. But hospitality, that's about how you make someone feel while you're doing it. It's about connection. It's a dialogue. One is a transaction and the other is a relationship. So having a great philosophy is one thing, right? But how do you actually make it real? How do you get a team of over 100 people to consistently deliver that color? Well, Guidara and his team came up with a few core principles to make this whole unreasonable idea practical. First step was their financial strategy, which they called the rule of 95/5. Here's how it worked. They managed 95% of their business with insane discipline, down to the very last penny. And doing that earned them the right to spend the last 5% foolishly on things that had this huge, outsized, emotional impact on their guests. And trust me, it wasn't irresponsible at all. It was probably the smartest money they ever spent. And that rule leads us directly to one of the most famous stories to come out of that restaurant. It's a perfect example of the 95/5 rule in action. So one night, the team overhears a table of 4 tourists from Spain. They'd had this amazing trip to New York, but they were lamenting one thing. They were leaving the next day and had never gotten to try a classic New York City street hot dog. So what do you think the team did? Did they send over a fancy bottle of champagne? Nope. The maitre d' literally ran out of their 4-star restaurant, bought a $2 hot dog from a street cart, brought it back, had the kitchen slice it into 4 perfect, elegant pieces, and presented it to the table. This just proves it, right? Hospitality isn't about spending a ton of money. It's about listening and then being thoughtful enough to turn that listening into a personal, unforgettable moment. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, that's great for some high-end restaurant, but what does that have to do with me?
Well, Guidara argues that as our whole economy has shifted from making things to providing services, this mindset isn't some niche idea anymore. It's absolutely essential for everyone.
Seriously, think about it. Whether you're a real estate agent, a software engineer, a doctor, or a teacher, the product or the service you deliver is just one part of the equation. But how you make your client, your patient, or your student feel, that is the ultimate differentiator. That's what turns a customer into a raving fan. It's what creates real, lasting loyalty in any field you can imagine. And here's the final secret that Gaidara shares in the book, which I just love. This whole thing isn't just about making your business better or boosting your career. Practicing unreasonable hospitality is, and I'm quoting him here, a selfish pleasure. There is this deep personal fulfillment that you get from the simple act of making other people feel seen, welcomed, and genuinely cared for. So, that really leaves all of us with a final question. It doesn't have to be some huge, grand gesture. It doesn't have to cost a single penny. But based on everything we just talked about, what's one small, thoughtful, maybe even unreasonable thing you could do for a customer, a colleague, or heck, even a total stranger today to turn one of those black and white moments into full, beautiful color?